An organization can only grow to the level of its leadership. Developing leaders must be an ongoing operation. So what's the most effective way to do this so that you can leave a positive legacy? Hello there, my fellow and future leaders. Eli's dad here with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. I'll be your server today. Would anyone care to see the Heart Healthy menu? The chef's special today is leaving a legacy and developing your leaders. By the way, it's okay to share your entree with a friend that has a similar appetite. It's also okay for you to eavesdrop some of from the table where Eli and I are sitting as I mentor my son. Let's see, Eli. Where do we leave off our lessons on leadership? Oh yeah, we're talking about leaving a legacy. We're about to start talking about the training that you give your leaders that is not directly related to your business. You see, Eli, the very best leaders have an obligation to reproduce themselves, and they take this responsibility very seriously. Now, when I was a puppy just starting out in the wonderful world of commission only, the man that was my mentor was named Mr. Mutnick. Yeah, he had a first name, Mort, but I was in my 20s and Mr. Mutnick took me under his wing and assumed the role of my mentor. He had a small yet very successful business. It involved selling people 6 to 12 months worth of food, particularly meat, and a freezer to put it in if the customer didn't have one. But boy, was I raw. But I also was a sponge, and it turned out that I had a capacity for sales. You remember the 80-20 rule, don't you? Pareto principle? I was the 20 that produced the 80. Mrs. Mutnick also worked at the business, and together they ran everything. They would refer to me as one a day because I typically made a sale every day. In addition to the California Blue Ribbon Meatpacking Company, Mr. Mutnick also owned a very successful supermarket. The two loves of his life, however, were his family and the California Blue Ribbon Meatpacking Company. Every day, after I had turned in the paperwork from a sale, Mr. Mutnick would sit down with me and go over stuff. It wasn't always about business. He taught me about people, accountants, where to get a haircut, how to have a single focus, about how you should be prepared when your wife is having a baby, and many other topics. He even recruited me to become a member of the Freemasons, an exclusive and secret fraternal organization. In short, he saw me as somewhat of a son. His own son was a lawyer and didn't want to have anything to do with the business. Mr. Mutnick wanted a successor. Then, one day, and I never found out the circumstances, his son decided to go into the business. Mr. Mutnick pulled me aside and explained that my future was not with his company because it had always been his dream to turn the business over to his son, and that his son was now willing. It was not baloney. His business was small. Mr. Mutnick was old and rich and wanted to spend the necessary time his son would need to assume his role. He advised me to look for an opportunity where I could grow. He was very sincere, and I appreciated what he had already taught me. Now, I've already told you that Bob Anderson was my mentor when I was in the insurance business, and that I lived in his house for a little more than 2 months. Living with the Andersons was an incredibly educational experience because I was able to see how the 1 in 20, the 5%er, conducted himself away from the office. Now, just as a child learns more from what a parent does than what is said, I learned a tremendous amount about his habits and philosophies and principles. Eli, I've never really told you about my first wife, the lady I married before your mom. I'm referencing her now because her father was the CEO of IHOP, the International House of Pancakes. I didn't spend too much time with my father-in-law, but the time I did spend with him was enlightening. He was a very coarse man, and I didn't like him very much, to be candid. The positive that I retained from our encounters was that he was always giving direction. He would never stop correcting his sons, who were about my age, in everything. Pick up your feet when you walk, or sit up. He never stopped. He always kept people on edge. Bob Anderson always started our days together by keeping me on edge. This was not a trait that either my father-in-law or Bob Anderson turned off when they were away from the workplace. Leaders are always looking and judging and leading. Now, I've read many books on leadership, and 5 of the best coaches, Bobby Knight and John Wooden in basketball, and Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, and Vince Lombardi in football, always kept people on edge. It's a difficult skill to teach, and in fact, in today's times of constant litigation, a very difficult way to lead. My point is that in order to motivate that way, you have to pay close attention to detail, develop tremendous trust from your subordinates and your abilities, and generate the sincere belief from your followers that you are there to make them strong. This takes huge credibility on the part of the leader. A weak leader cannot operate that way. This type of leader must be unquestionably wise, experienced, and confident in the eyes of his constituency. Now, is there a common thread that unites Mort Mutnick and Bobby Knight? How about Bob Anderson and Bill Belichick or Vince Lombardi? Or John Wooden and Bill Parcells and the CEO of IHOP? There clearly is. That common bond is that they never stop learning. Now, I'm not just talking about their businesses. All the accomplished leaders that I have known personally never stop reading, attending seminars, watching videos, and listening to tapes or CDs, and consulting with other leaders in related and unrelated fields. They have an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and how other 5%ers think and accomplish. It does 2 things for these leaders. First, it keeps them sharp and mentally active, kind of like an Alzheimer's patient doing the daily crossword puzzle. Second, it offers additional paradigms to consider that enhance their creative abilities. They realize that to remain on top, especially in our current ever-changing world, they must continue to make progress. Success for them is not reaching a goal. It's a never-ending process. These rituals of success enable them. Okay, my boy, I've given you the what. Would you like to find out the how? Fair enough. As a preface to the how, we must first talk of self-imposed limitations. The first limitation is in our understanding the range of our capacities. Now, we're all blessed with extraordinary powers of imagination, intelligence, feeling, and intuition, just to name a few. For the most part, we only use a fraction of these powers. Second, we are limited in our understanding of how all these abilities relate to each other. For the most part, we think that our minds, bodies, feelings, and relationships are separate from each other. Our third limitation is not understanding our potential for growth and change. Too many people feel that opportunities missed are gone and can't be replaced. You see, opportunity is seldom labeled. Now, the one thing that eliminates these self-imposed limitations and ignites hope from a spark to a flame is passion. What you want to ignite in your leaders is the place where their personal passion intersects with their natural ability. It's likely that their passion is not just work-related. It can range from the obvious, like chess, or playing the oboe, or playing bridge, or painting, or flying miniature planes competitively, or writing, acting, or composing, or travel, or a son. Now, virtually all people have something that they are passionate about and possess a timeless connection to. And they can have more than one passion. Let me use myself as an example. As a youth, my passion was for sports. To be candid, I was a pretty good athlete when I was 12 or so. When I was 12, I pitched 13 shutout innings in a Little League All-Star game. Now, normally the rule was that you can only pitch 6 innings in a game, but they had suspended that rule for this All-Star game. Boy, was I in the zone that day as a pitcher. I was effortlessly changing speeds, throwing curveballs, and placing the ball exactly where I wanted it. As it turned out, however, as I got older, basketball became my true passion. Now, I had a decent high school career, and my choice for college was in no small way affected by my ability to potentially play for the basketball team. I chose Clark University because it was small enough for me to compete in basketball, and it was an academically good school. Unfortunately for my basketball career, even the competition at the Division III level was a bit too brisk for a shooter that, quote, had the touch of a blacksmith, unquote, as one of my coaches often uttered. I did learn the game, however, and after graduation, I went into teaching and coaching. The pay for coaching didn't even come close to covering the cost of gas. It was, however, my passion. My point is that when I was performing as a player or a coach, either with the kids or socially with other coaches, I was doing what I loved doing. My passion. As a coach, I was too old to play, but still able to compete. What you find, Eli, when you discover that passion is that the people are doing the thing that they love. And in doing it, they feel like their most authentic selves. They find that time passes differently and that they are more alive, more centered, and more vibrant than at other times. You are in the zone. This special pursuit has two main features and two conditions. The features are aptitude and passion. The conditions are attitude and opportunity. I get it, I love it, I want it, where is it? You start to look for other tribe members that understand to share your feelings. They can be teammates or competitors, but they understand. Let's briefly discuss the roles of the mentor. The first role is that of recognition, when you are recognized as being worthy to become a mentee. The second role of a mentor is encouragement. Mentors lead us to believe that we can achieve something that seemed improbable or impossible to us before we met them. They don't allow us to succumb to self-doubt for too long or the notion that our dreams are too large for us. They stand by to remind us of the skills we already possess and what we can achieve if we continue to work hard. The third role of a mentor is facilitating. Mentors can help lead us toward our element by offering us advice and techniques, paving the way for us, and even allowing us to falter a bit while standing by to help us recover and learn from our mistakes. The fourth role of a mentor is stretching. Effective mentors push us past what we see as our limits. Much as they don't allow us to succumb to self-doubt, they also prevent us from doing less with our lives than we can. A true mentor reminds us that our goal should never be to be average at our pursuits. As a mentor and a leader, Eli, you must set aside a scheduled time for your leaders to be and understand what their individual passions are, because that is when they are truly their most authentic selves. Think about when you are in your passion zone. When you tap into your passion, it gives you the triple E factor: energy, enthusiasm, and excellence. When you look at the schedule of a politician, for example, all the travel, the speeches, the dinners, the crowds, handshaking, meetings, planning, preparing, and so on, it makes you tired just thinking about it. But the politician loves it. It gives them the energy and enthusiasm to strive for excellence in their performance. And the same is true for performers or entertainers, athletes, doctors, artists, and countless others. When people are in their zone, their powers of creativity are on maximum. Their juices are flowing. Their enthusiasm is contagious. When they share their paradigms with others, it opens new imaginative insights that others don't possess. Isn't that what you're looking for? It generates out-of-the-box thinking. It's the beginning of the evolution from imagination to creativity. Let's put this all together. When operating at their best, leaders model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart. A good coach shares 5 common characteristics. Care for the people they coach, observe their attitudes, behavior, and performance, align them with their strengths for peak performance, communicate and give feedback about their performance, and help them to improve their lives and performance. Now in today's lesson, I've actually given you the why and the what. Next time we assemble, I will give you the how to develop your leaders. To ensure that you don't miss that, make a reservation by subscribing and ringing the dinner bell. As always, if you're serious, check out the description box. I always leave some goodies there for you in that dessert tray. Today is no exception. Our thought for the day: the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. And because we never end our meeting on a philosophical note, get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.